loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives.
More often than not these days, everybody's all about self-care. How are you taking care of yourself? Are you, resting? Are you exercising? Whatever works. That is what we're going to talk about on Making It Last this time around. Welcome. We're going to be talking with Sheila Sutherland. And on Making It Last, it's all about helping us to have better relationships, not with just ourselves, but with other people. So she's going to tell us about the 7 pillars of true self-care. Sheila is an educator and a coach. She's certified in neuroscience and social and emotional intelligence. Welcome, Sheila.
Thank you, Noreen. It's a pleasure to be here today.
I noticed on your profile on podcast guests, it had true self-care. Why not just self-care? Why true self-care?
Oh, because I'm finding, like you said, we talk about self-care all the time. You
Mm-hmm.
see it on social media, all everywhere, and it feels like to me that the term self-care is starting just to become a buzzword.
Okay.
It becomes, and it's starting to get people to think too that it's very surfacey. And that it's not a real thing. And, oh, you're just saying this to avoid doing other things. And, it's starting to feel that people aren't truly understanding what it truly means for
Means
self-care. And that's why I said the true self-care. It's not just oh, I'm taking a mental health day, I'm just gonna, just take a break from life today. Those are important. But that's not what I'm talking about in regards to the true self-care. I don't know if you want me just to dive right in, but I
go
have
right in.
7 pillars, what I call 7 pillars. And these aren't ones that you have to hit every single day, but these are all areas of your life that needs attention. Now, of the 7, I have 4 that I consider the inner pillars and 3 that are the outer. So, dealing with the 4 inner ones first, I kind of view them like rooms in a house.
Hmm.
And of those 4, so we have the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Now, when people think about self-care, a lot of times, almost, I would probably say like 99% of the time, we're dealing with things in the physical room. Because
True.
you had already talked about, are you getting the rest? Are you eating well? Are you properly hydrated? Are you getting the exercise? Did you go to the chiropractor? Did you see your doctor? It's all physical stuff, because that's what we can see. Those are the tangibles. Those are the things that we can do physically and see a benefit from. But if you think of the rooms of a house, do you only ever clean just one room of that house?
Hmm. Hmm.
To
Hmm.
have your whole home be a healthy home, I need to hit all the rooms in the house.
Rooms.
Like, think of it holistically as a whole being, and take care of every room. And that's where this is very much the same. So I don't want to spend too much time talking about the physical self-care, because I think we get that. That's the one we all know quite
Mm-hmm.
well.
That's true.
But if we look at, okay, let's look at the mental health care. And especially during everything that we've gone through with COVID and being in isolation and being away from our loved ones, our mental self-care took a hit.
Hmm.
And there are still some people that are
True.
still dealing with the after effects. And we don't know the full effect yet that COVID had on all of us. It may take years to truly understand mentally how we have been impacted, especially our children. So when we look at the mental health care or mental self-care, I look at, what am I spending most of my time? What kind of information am I constantly bombarding myself with? Like, our brains take in something like 80 billion bits of information a minute,
Hmm.
but we're not consciously aware of it, but our brains are taking it in. Or do we have the newsreels on repeat? on our televisions all day, or on our radios or stereos or on our devices? Are we constantly having, and I'm sorry to say, but the negative news, right? Because that's where news sits. They know if they give us something negative, it's going to draw the listeners in. We don't hear much positivity news,
That's
to
true.
tell us about the kittens and the puppies that are doing, good things today. Right. So it's a lot of negativity in the news. And what videos are we watching? What are we watching on our devices? Who are we listening to? Do we spend time with people that spend the majority of their time nagging and complaining and gossiping? How do you feel when you're around those people? Right? Because you'll have a physical response in feeling this. And I know when I'm around those people, I'm like, oh dear God, when can I leave? I'm checking my watch. I'm, how much? Oh, that's been 5 minutes. Yeah, it felt like it was an hour. And you're talking about the draining, right?
Yes.
What's the energy that I'm around? How am I feeling? And do I really want to spend my time there? So I really try to focus on, especially first thing in the morning, last thing at night, being very conscious as to what I put into my mind, because that's either going to set my day up for, rather a happy, positive type of day, or it's going to set me up to have a day where I'm constantly have this negative stuff rolling around in my head, which is just going to bleed into the rest of my day. I mean, have you ever had it where you're running around getting ready for work and you stub your toe? And you're bouncing around the house, you're crying in pain, but I got to get out of the house. I'm shoving my now bruised toe into a shoe. You get going. Oh, and now I've spilled my coffee on myself. And you find that those negative ones seem to snowball. And then you're honking at someone on the drive to work. You may be giving someone the finger or saying some colorful words to them, and it just keeps snowballing. Do I want to have that snowball be a negative energy that it's carrying me throughout the day? Or do I want it to be a positive energy that's carrying me throughout the day? I heard this term one time I don't know who said it, but it's like, we are in control of our own weather. So what weather do I want to create? Right? When I walk into the room, do I want to bring the sunshine or do I want to bring the hurricane? Right? This is what my choice of how I'm going to enter that room is. And a lot of times that comes down to, what am I filling myself with? So the mental self-care, what am I filling my mind with? Oh, and I just want to touch on, so at the end of the day too, like I like to end my day thinking about what happened today that I'm grateful for. And I do that while I'm in bed, as I'm, taking some deep breaths and relaxing my body, getting ready for sleep. I want those to be the last thoughts I have before I slip off into dreamland. What am I happy for? What am I grateful for? What happened today that was awesome? What do I hope for tomorrow? Right? So have those positive things just to bring into your brain at night. And again, set you up for a good night's sleep so that you can start the day again. So that's your mental self-care. Emotional self-care. A lot of times people think that emotions are icky, for lack of a non-technical term, right? We've kind of been taught that, as women, we're too emotional, so we shouldn't show emotions. And men just don't do emotions because they're the strong, tough men. But you know what? We're all human.
Yes.
Having emotions is a human thing. We can't deny a big part of ourselves, as that takes us out of alignment into who we are. So the question for the emotional self-care is, am I honoring my emotions? Am I stuffing them down? Am I eating them away? Am I trying to numb them out with whatever substance of your choice is? Or am I feeling them? Because then once I feel them, there's usually a message behind them. Why are they there?
True.
Is there a lesson? Is there something I need to know? Is there something I need to be paying attention to? And that's information that we need. So why would I want to numb them out or push them away? They're there for a reason. They're there to help me, to serve me in some way.
Yes.
So let's listen to those. So it's finding ways to essentially become friends with our emotions, because they've kind of gotten a bad rap over the time, right? Because, we're only supposed to be positive emotions. You're only supposed to be happy all the time. Again, that's not reality. Life is going to give us stuff to be anxious about. We're going to give us stuff to be sad or angry about, but they all come with a message. They all come with something. And if we allow ourselves to process them and deal with them in the moment, that also allows us to then release them.
Oh,
Feeling them doesn't mean I've got the white knuckled grip on them. That allows me to hear them, to honor them, and then set them free. So I can then heal from whatever it was that created them. But we can't do that if we keep shoving them down. And if we keep shoving them down and trying to numb them out, you'll find over time, you either have to do that more, or, because they're going to get stronger. They are going to come out in some way. And eventually, if we keep pushing them away and then they finally burst forth, that's usually not going to be a good situation. So why wait for that to happen? Let's deal with them in the moment so they're not sitting there and festering and growing, right? So your emotional self-care is letting them to happen, being able to honor them, being able to learn to understand them. Again, it's learning you. Your emotions are you. So you're learning about you and how you show up in the world. So this is, again, all good information to have, because Lord knows no one gave us the guidebook. When we popped out into this world, they didn't go, here's your owner's manual.
yeah.
So you kind of have to make your own. So you could even have an emotion journey, a journal, and just, I found for me, when I'm having strong emotions, writing them down is one of the best ways of processing and then allowing them to release. Like, I will just free write. Like, I'm not writing to edit. I'm not writing in the thought that anyone is ever going to read it again. I may never read it again, but I write what I'm feeling in the moment. I don't limit myself. I don't edit myself. I just write until I feel empty. Like there's just no more in me. And then I'll be like, yeah, I'm good now. I've got it all out. It's out of my body. It's out of my head. And now I can look at whatever the situation is with that clear head that I may have to then make decisions on, because I've let the emotions do their thing. Hi, this is Sheila Sutherland, and I'm here with Noreen Daly on the Making It Last broadcast. We're just going to take a quick break so we can hear a word from our partners.
You can't live your best life without a healthy immune system. Boost your immune system the delicious way with Zappy's organic juices and punches. Made from local produce with zero added sugar, our juices cleanse and revitalize your body as they boost your natural immunity. Try our delicious flavors: Beat It, Berry Bomb, Get Fresh, Ton Up, and Island Splash. Find us on Instagram at Zappy's Organics, or call or send a WhatsApp message at 1-876-779-8910 to order today. That's 1-876-779-8910. Zappy's Organic Juices and Punches. Live your best life today.
For all your events such as educational forums, workshops, book launches, weddings, and more, contact Noreen Daly, the ultimate MC and event host. Visit noreendaly.com or follow her on Instagram at Noreen Daly Jam. Noreen Daly, creating long-lasting memories.
I recently I've been coached by the great Miss Noreen Daly. I own a video company. I'm also an online influencer. So I do a lot of speaking virtually and in person. She was able to point out some of my weaknesses that I didn't yet notice. And I 100% recommend Miss Noreen Daly as your coach.
Noreen Daly, redefining the way you communicate.
Making it last is all I care to do. You loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life, won't live in the past. All I wanna do now is making it
Welcome back
last.
to the conversation.
I think for a lot of persons, and some people will listen and they will watch this and they will say it's easy for you to say, Sheila, because more often than not, people, they numb things, as you alluded to earlier, because they're afraid of really feeling and embracing what is really happening with them.
And that is, it's, yes, I mean, I agree. That is so valid. And it's because a lot of times those strong emotions, a lot of times they're the negative emotions,
Yes.
they don't feel good.
Mhm.
We don't like not feeling good, right? We're pleasure seekers. We want, that's what, that's what where we would like to be. But that, like I say, it's not the reality of life. And so for those people who may be like, maybe they've spent 20, 30, 40 years not feeling, that will be really scary. And then for them, and that's where I would say, and I would encourage them to have someone they trust, someone they know that, is non-judgmental, who just loves them unconditionally, and know that they're the ones that they can talk to about that. Like maybe it's a best friend, maybe it's a pastor, maybe you work with a coach, or you work with another professional in some way, but it's having someone that that is safe, that you can go to, that you can express those emotions in a safe zone, and know that there's not going to be any repercussion kind of blown back at you. So it's because doing it alone can feel really isolating.
Yes.
Some people can do
Yes.
it. Like I know for myself, I can do it, but that's taken some time for me to get used to that. It's a process, right? But I had my time where I was going to psychiatrists and psychologists to help me learn certain strategies to help me through that, because I knew when I was getting riled up about something, I didn't know what to do. I was like a caged cat, stalking back and forth, and I was like, not knowing what to do. But we put strategies into place when I was in a good place, so that when the bad place emotionally happened, they were already there. So I didn't have to worry about thinking. I could just knew what file I had to pull up on my phone or on my laptop. And I had my strategies there that I knew would help me to feel better, to help me process the moment that I'm in.
It sounds like inadvertently you've touched on the spiritual.
Not quite yet.
Okay.
Kind of, sort of, but not quite yet.
Okay.
It could be
Okay.
one of your strategies, definitely.
Okay.
So let's talk about the spiritual, because some people right away, when they hear the word spiritual, they're like, nope, that's not me. I'm not religious. I have no affiliation, for whatever reason. And some people just, they don't want to be considered spiritual in any way. But I would then ask them to maybe, again, shift their thinking on that. Your spiritual self-care has to do with just you feeling like you are a part of something greater than yourself. That you are not alone in this world. Volunteering is actually a spiritual act because you are giving of yourself in some way, whether it's through
Service.
time, through effort, giving to a charity financially. It is, you're feeling connected, because when you think of a charity, when you give money to it, a lot of times it's because there's some meaning in there for you. And like I know I give to a lot of animal charities because I feel like I really connect with animals. I love animals. They've helped me in a lot of ways, so I want to help them. So because I know with, I'll say with some people may think it's weird, but with my cats, I feel like we have a connection that I can't explain.
Mhm.
So I view that as a spiritual connection because it's an energetic thing that I can't say definitively what it is. I
Mhm.
can't put
Mhm.
my finger on it. And we know we have people in our lives that way too. You just meet them and you just know,
Yeah.
like, this is my person. I just met you. I don't know anything about you, but energetically we just vibe and we know that this is my people.
Yeah.
That to me is a spiritual connection. That, so it could be doing random acts of kindness. It could just be, helping out at a soup kitchen. Those are spiritual acts. It doesn't have to be religiously affiliated. It could be that you go for walks out in nature and you just, commune with the trees,
Community. Yep.
commune with the plants, the animals. That's a spiritual experience. Me sitting at the ocean and just staring and watching the waves and the birds flying around, for me, that feels like a spiritual experience because I just let myself take in with all of my senses, everything that's around me. And I'm very, very present in the moment. And I think any sort of spiritual self-care involves presence. You just being 100% present in whatever it is that you are doing. And you kind of feel like you get a little high off of it because you're
Yeah.
being connected energetically in some way.
I think the whole idea of being present though is a difficult concept I find sometimes, especially for young people, because in my other life, I'm an
Yes.
educator and I find sometimes when I sit at, even when they're in an event that's geared towards them, they're on their phones and
Yes.
I'm saying to myself, people stay in the moment. Be present, but
Yes.
they'll learn. They'll learn. So I take it you've touched on the 4 inner
Yes.
pillars. So we're going to the 3
3
outer
outer
ones now.
So the 3 outer now is, so first one I look at is social. Because again, we are social beings. We need to actually physically share energy with other human beings.
Mhm.
So who am I spending my time with? There's, again, one of those gurus out there, and again, I can't remember who it was that said it, that we are the compilation of the 5 people that we spend the most
Mhm.
time with. Who are those people? And then kind of what you had mentioned kind of earlier, how do I feel when I'm around them? Do they lift, after being with them, do they lift me up? Do I
Or do
feel
they
great?
drink?
Do I feel
Yup.
energized?
Yup.
Or am I completely sucked dry?
Mhm.
Right. So you want to be with those ones that lift you up, that support you, that cheer you on, and just that when you leave them, you're like, yes, that was great. And those are the ones we want to spend more time around. We don't want to have those emotional vampires or the energetic vampires
Yes.
in our life. Like, they are inevitable. First, we all have them at some point, but knowing that you have the choice as to how much time I'm going to spend with them and how much time I'm going to spend with those that lift me up. Right. So it's knowing, taking care of yourself in that way, that knowing that I'm spending most of my time with the uplifting, again, creating that weather, creating that sunshine in my life, than those that are creating the hurricane. So that's our social self-care.
Mhm.
Then, of course, we've got our either business or career. That needs some self-care. A lot of times we get kind of doing the whole, I'm the hamster on the wheel, just running my way through life, right? Because this job pays the bills. We all have bills. We all have responsibilities. We all have to take care of those. But we also want to have something that we maybe enjoy doing for those 8 hours in a day. Sure, this career may not have been something that you always dreamed of when you were a kid, but what can you do within that career to bring joy into it? Are you there because the people you work with are amazing? Like the job itself may be boring as heck, but is it the people that keep you there? And if that is, nurture those relationships with those people, because they're the ones that are going to lift you up and make those 8 hours go very quickly in your
True.
day, instead of feeling like, oh my God, I'm dying. Because nobody wants to feel like they are being soul sucked during those 8 hours of being at work. Or if they're like you say, or if they have their own business, find ways to bring the joy and the happiness into those positions, because no matter what, none of us, well, I won't say none of us, but a good portion of us are not independently wealthy, that we don't
Yes.
have to worry about where our money is coming from. So we want to find ways to get some enjoyment out of doing that. And then the last one I want to talk about is I call security. So this is our self-care more for our future. And this is where, and it's going to encompass a lot of different things, but it's going to be, am I taking care of to make sure my car is going to be healthy and running when I need it? Do I have the proper insurances on my home just in case? Am I seeing my doctor regularly, making sure I'm getting the checkups and the blood tests done that I need to on a regular basis to ensure I stay on top of my health? So and am I making the necessary decisions to ensure when I get to that point in time when I want to retire, that I have something that I can actually afford to do it? Right. So it's all of the self-care around ensuring that our future is going to be taken care of. So like I say, all different aspects of our life, and not in ways traditionally people think of when they think of self-care, but these are all areas of life that need care and attention to ensure that our lives go kind of smoothly and in the direction that we desire.
Excellent note to end on. Thank you so much, Sheila, for sharing.
Oh, thank you, Noreen.
This was Making It Last podcast, where it's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, but other people. I'm Noreen Daly. Until next time.
Making it last is all I care to do. You loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives.